the minute I walked in, I was dancing until the minute I stopped. The music stopped, and that's when I would stop dancing. But I felt like the music's still inside my body.
So we'll kick it off. So today is Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. Who are we speaking with?
You're speaking to Mary Christina Laboy, aka Charlie Girl.
How did you get that nickname?
Well, I got it before I actually went to Downtown Records. Some of my friends were joking around. And remember the perfume Charlie?
Yes.
I used to wear that a lot. And
Uh,
I also used to sell joints on Avenue D. So whenever the cops came around, if they were looking for Charlie, they were looking for a guy. They weren't looking for a female.
Oh,
That was the cover.
that's so fucking good.
So it worked, but I stopped because I saw a lot of people getting arrested. So I was like, no, 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 no.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I just happened to come across Downtown Records one day, right? I was just walking by, minding my own business, and I heard the music, and I was like, oh, shoot. And I walked inside. The first person I met was Frankie, right? And then Frankie started talking to me. He was asking me who I was. He was asking me if I wanted a job. They needed a person to do the cash register.
Mm.
I said, wow, yeah, I wouldn't mind, And then in the music store, and then I saw Albert. Of course, he came out and he was like, oh, who are you? And I'm looking at this guy like, who the fuck is this guy, looking at me like that and talking to me that way. But I told him my name is Charlie, so we started working. Frankie gave me a job there. It was part-time. I wasn't there full-time, but it was part-time. So one thing that I can tell you was that he also had in the store that we worked at on 26th Street. He had one on 26th Street, then he moved to 23rd Street. But on 26th Street in the back, he had a little fashion store. So what he did was he said, come here, Charlie. He said, I want you to do this. I said, what? He said, I want you to model the clothes and we'll sell them to, the people that come in. So I was like, great. So there I was bottling around, listening to music, dancing. I had so much fun doing that. It was so much fun, right? So then what happened was, and I'll be upfront and honest about this. So then I wound up getting into drug use, right? I started doing cocaine. I was doing it at home. So for me, it was like, it's okay because I'm just doing it at home. And then when I would go on to parties with friends, I would just do it, right? But still, it wasn't like a problem for me. At least I didn't think it was until it got a little out of hand. Started getting out of hand. I disappeared from Downtown Records for like 2 years. For 2 years while I was using drugs, right? I became homeless. I didn't go to my family. I didn't reach out to anybody because I figured, wow, I got myself into this. I got to figure out how to get out of this. And I prayed and prayed and prayed. And I was like, God, why is this happening to me? Why do you have me doing this? I wasn't born to do this. Please help me until I finally, guess what? Went back to Downtown Records. And when Frankie saw me, he was like, Charlie, what's going on? Where have you been? Albert came running and I sat down and I told both of them what was happening. And they were both crying. They were like, no, you're not going anywhere. You're not going back to the Bronx. Frankie said, you're going to come and you're going to stay with me in my apartment. So, you know what? By the grace of God, through Frankie, I was able to stop using and stay clean.
Now let's talk about you and how you got into house music. So, um, let's start from the beginning. Where were you born and where'd you grow up?
Okay, so I was born in Manhattan, raised in Brooklyn, Fort Greene Projects. Right. And then when I was 16, my dad moved us to New Jersey because there were gangs around and, he didn't want my brothers to get into trouble. So we went to New Jersey and then I wanted to come to college. So I came back to New York in 1972. after I had my, no, 1974, after I had my daughter. I had my first daughter, right? And I applied to school and I started going to school. And then I was hanging out on Avenue D and met all these people that like to party and stuff. And then I worked at what was called the Lismar Lounge, which was on First Avenue, right? And I was the bartender there. And they used to have all these people come in, DJs and stuff. And I started listening to the music. And then one of my friends told me about the Loft, right? And wait, but it wasn't Dave Mancuso's Loft. It was another Loft. It was like a loft party. So we went there and the guy was playing house music. I was like, wow, this is different. And I loved it. I fell in love with it. And of course, I liked salsa, but house music became primary for me. And then I wanted to find out all about these places, that played house music. And they used to jam on Avenue D. In the amphitheater on Avenue D, people used to come in and they used to play. And then they kind of stopped that for a while. And then when I started working at Downtown Records, first I was working for Rock and Soul with Shirley, right? And then I went to Downtown Records, and then, like I said, somebody mentioned the Loft, Dave Mancuso's Loft, at Downtown Records, and that's when I decided to go, and I fell in love. Every Friday, I was at Paradise Garage. Would go home, go to sleep, take a shower, eat, and then get up to go to the Loft, Dave Mancuso's Loft. And from there, I just ran with that. I just ran with that. House music parties everywhere. I don't know. You know what? For me, I kind of felt like house music parties is a place where you can just be. You can just be and not worry about what people are thinking about you. When I went to other parties like Les Mouches and all these other nonsense clubs, Copacabana, everybody's just watching each other and people are like competing. And for me, I found that with house music, that's not what it's about. It's like a family. It's a big party. Everybody just having fun. And I remember that at the loft, whenever I would dance, the guys would tell me, listen, just let the music get into your body. Just feel the music and move whatever way you want. And I was like, wow, I felt so free, and I have such a love for house music still. Every day, like I'll play my gospel house music too. I love that they have gospel house music too. But you'll always hear me playing house over any other genre. That's my love is house music. I just love it, love it, love it. It makes me feel alive. It makes me happy. And when I go to the house music parties, I feel like, you know how a little kid runs around in the park having fun? That's how I feel when I'm on the dance floor. Like I'm a little kid just having fun in the park, minding my own business, not caring what people are thinking about. It's just the freeing of the spirit. I really enjoy it very much. You know, I don't think I ever give up house music. House music is in my heart. It's embedded in me, you know.
What does house music mean to you?
It means life, it means love, it means aspirations, you know, and it just really, really brings out the life in me. It's bright. It's bright and it's colorful. To me, it's very colorful. I don't know if you can understand that, but
I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly
yeah,
what you mean.
yeah, but
Um, Tell me about the first time you went to the Paradise Garage.
oh wow. That was an experience in itself. I walked in not knowing what to expect. Not knowing what to expect. A couple of my friends invited me to go with them. And I walked in, and I was like, wow, oh my God, where am I? Oh my God, is this really happening? Like, I looked all around me. There was so many people just dancing and sweating. And the vibe was just big. And then I went and Madonna was on stage the day that I went. And I was like, oh my God, look, it's Madonna. Did I really know how famous she was? No, I didn't at the time. And then people were like, yo, that's Jelly Bean's girlfriend. I was like, who's Jelly Bean? And I started learning. Really? I was like, who's Jelly Bean? I thought, wait, are these people just kidding with me, all right? And maybe they're just hired, they're just putting out this name. Or maybe I'm high and I don't realize what that is. And it was the first time that I even experienced going into the bathroom. There were guys in the bathroom too. I was like, wait, isn't this the girls' room? I didn't know. I didn't know they were shared bathrooms. I was like, okay, whatever, And then I went to the area that they had, remember the screens with the movies? I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. So if I get tired, I could just come and sit over here. Right? But one thing that I never got to do until the very end was go up to the roof. Everybody was like, have you been to the roof? I was like, nope. And they were like, why not? I said, because I'm having too much fun on the dance floor. Listening to the music, hearing Larry Levan play. Oh my God, I just couldn't get enough of it. I didn't want to leave. You know what? The minute I walked in, I was dancing until the minute I stopped. The music stopped, and that's when I would stop dancing. But I felt like the music still inside my body. It was like, oh my God, I feel this music. But it was amazing. It was amazing. And then, like, right before it closed, I finally went upstairs to the roof. And it was awesome there too. I was like, okay, so it's cool over here because it's hot downstairs. But, I went back right back down anyway because I just wanted to be on the dance floor. It was great. It was a good experience, And it was funny, like the first time, like when you're walking in, you see this thing like a garage, you're like, oh my God, where are we going? It was really cool. It was
Do
cool.
you remember who brought you there?
Um, my friend Jose, who's no longer with us, and his friend Tony, who's also no longer with us. Two guys. And they were from Brooklyn.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, how was the Paradise Garage different from other clubs in New York at that time?
Well, the Paradise Garage for me was different because, you had this whole different vibe. Um, the music was not the same as in other places. Every other place was kind of like playing commercial music. That's what I called it. They were playing commercial music, and the people weren't as friendly as it was in the Paradise Garage or even in the Loft. Like people met you, they said hi to you. The next week when you came, they were like, "Yo, what's up?" You didn't get that at the other clubs. I didn't experience that in the other clubs and never experienced that in the other clubs. No. But Paradise Garage and Loft, those two clubs were places that you went to. People remembered you. They knew who you were. And people said hello to you. And people gave you a hug. They embraced you. And now I think that that's why I fell in love so much and loved those two places so much and wanted to be there because I got the love that I didn't get anywhere else you know because even Albert would tell me, where'd you go this weekend? And I would tell him I went to Paradise Garage and I went to the Loft. He was like, you did both nights? I said, yeah. He goes, girl, you can't get enough of that, can you? I said, like, nope. No, I love it there. I love it there. There was no other place that I felt that. No other place. And I went to other clubs, Gotham's West, Gotham's East, all those clubs. They were nothing compared to Paradise Garage or the Loft. You know, those were my loves. And there's nothing out there like that anymore. Nothing. I know, people can try to replicate it. For me, there'll never be another Paradise Garage and there'll never be another Loft. That's just for me. You can replicate it, and it's fine that you're replicating it, and it kind of feels a little somewhat like that, but it's not the same essence. No.
Was there a night at the garage that changed your life?
Um, I would say the night that Grace Jones was there, she was in the cage. She was in. They pulled out this cage, and I thought like there was a tiger or something in there, and it was dark. She had nothing on. She was just in the cage. I was like, oh my God, what is this? Wow. That really changed me. That was like, it just opened me up to like accept things for what they are and people for who they are and know that, you know what? No matter who people are, accept them, love them, be kind to them, because everybody goes through something. Nobody's perfect. You got to learn to love people. And one of the things that my dad always taught me that I felt in the Paradise Garage was you don't know what people are going through. Love them. When you give somebody a hug, that person might just need that hug and you didn't even know it. And you probably make them feel special. And people smile. I always smile. I'm constantly smiling. People are like, why do you smile? Well, I'd rather smile than be crying, right? I don't know if you remember when I had that neck brace when I had my surgery. So if I would go to places and people would look at me, they were like, "You're here?" I'm like, "Yeah." They were like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm having fun." And you're smiling, yeah, because guess what? This is temporary. It's gonna come off eventually. Why am I gonna let it get me down? No. I went to Louis Vega's party and his sisters grabbed me and they put me in the VIP section because they didn't want me to get hurt. Right? And I'm in there and I'm like jumping around and dancing. They're looking at me like, oh my God, this girl's crazy. And my daughter's watching me. She's like, Mom. I'm like, I can't help it. It's the music. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like things that happen in life, they're temporary if you take a look at them that way. And you're gonna learn a lesson from them anyway. You know, having that, I had that neck brace for an entire year. So I couldn't drive. And every time I walked down the street, I had to like turn to the left, my whole body turn to the right and stuff. And of course, the little kids were like staring at me. People were staring at me. I was like, oh, so what? They don't understand. I'm not gonna let that bother me. And like I said, everywhere I went, I had a smile. People were like, God, but isn't that horrible? I'm like, nope. I'm just making the most of it. I need to get better, so I have to do this. But you know what? I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm going to smile and be happy anyway, you know? But yeah.
Talk to me about Larry Levan. How would you describe his DJ style?
Oh my God. He was spectacular. He was extraordinary. I don't know any other DJ that could ever compare to him. He was so versatile, you know? And his energy, like you could see his energy going into the music that he played. And when he was playing, you could feel him. You could feel his vibe. You could see him up there playing and dancing, and it was just amazing. Like I said, I don't know any other DJ that I don't know about anyone else. I can never compare any other DJ to Larry Levan. Never. No. He was the one and only Larry Levan. No one can compare to him.
Tell us about the sound system in the garage.
Oh wow, that was so that, you can stand in any spot and you can hear the music. It's not like in other clubs, you go to another club and you can hear the music right here, but if you went all the way to the back, you couldn't hear it, or if you went into another room, you couldn't hear it. No, you heard that everywhere. Everywhere. That sound system was amazing. you know and like a lot of clubs try to replicate that the sound system too, you know I don't know how many clubs have been successful in doing that because I don't go to a lot of those other clubs because for me, I miss those two places the most. I've tried to go, like I like Body and Soul too. I've gone to Body and Soul parties, but there's nothing like the Paradise Garage to me. Nothing like the Loft either, you know? So, but the sound system is amazing.
Uh, let's pivot to the Loft. How often would you go to the Loft?
Every weekend. I was in Paradise Garage every Friday and every Saturday I was at the Loft. I'm serious. I became a true hardcore house head. I had to go. I looked forward to Friday coming. I was like, oh no, I'm going. I'm going. I couldn't wait to get out of work to go home and change and get over there, you know? Oh no, I was there every weekend, every weekend.
And then there were many.
Then it moved. Remember, it moved to Third Street too.
So
I
that
went
was
to
my
Third,
question. So there were different lofts. So which one did you go to? Were you
I
Broadway?
went to the one 99 Prince,
Got it. Okay.
99 Prince Street. And then it moved. It went to Third Street. And then I forgot which street it was, somewhere on Avenue, I think it was Avenue A. Yeah, on Avenue A. And from then on, I stopped going because it just wasn't the same, you know? It just wasn't. I liked 99 Prince. I think that was the best house. And Third Street was okay. It was fine. It was the space, but after that, no.
And then talk about, I feel like these clubs were, talk about the sense of community because it feels like it was more than just dancing.
It was like family. Like I said, people made you feel loved. They made you feel like you were family. I said before, people embraced you. I don't know about you, but me, I know people, Cindy, all these people, I would walk in, hey, Charlie, how you doing? They would come over, they would embrace me, they would ask me if I wanted a drink or what have you. It was more of a family. And it was like we would call each other and find out if we were going to go to the club or not, and why aren't you going to go? And we would just meet up outside and go inside together and just dance. And like I said, it was like people have respect too. I personally never saw a fight in the Paradise Garage, and I never saw a fight at the Loft. Never. You know how you went to I don't know about you, but I went to other clubs where there were fights. It was like, yo, what the heck? I'm here to dance. What is going on over here? What are people getting stupid? Why? It's not necessary. And if somebody would try to get out of line, people will pull them up. People will pull them up and talk to them and talk them down in order to prevent that from happening, which was, I felt so safe in those places. I felt safe. I wasn't terrified. I wasn't afraid to go there, you know? And I wasn't afraid that somebody was going to get stupid with me because you know what? I had enough friends that would look out for me anyway. You know, if I was being bothered by somebody, I remember my best friend Walter. Like a guy would come and start approaching me, and Walter and Blackie would come over to me. They were like, "You okay?" And Tony, "You okay?" I was like, "Yeah, okay, all right. Let us know if you need any help. If he's bothering you, let us know." But you know what? It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. I felt so at ease and so comfortable. And I knew how to just stop people dead in their tracks and say, okay. And what I did was I didn't even argue with them. If a guy came too close to me and I didn't like it, you know what I did? I would spin myself around to another area. I would just spin myself around and move out of the way. It was that simple.
You talked about friendships at these places. What about dating? Did you ever date anybody you met in the club?
One guy, yeah, one guy, David. And God rest his soul, he passed away too from overdose, you know? Yeah, but it was only one guy that I dated. And I met him at the Loft. I didn't meet him at Paradise Garage. I met him at the Loft. So
Talk to me about the golden era of house music in New York City.
the golden era.
Mhm.
I don't I I don't know how to describe it other than exhilarating. Exhilarating, an exhilarating experience. If you never went to the Paradise Garage or the Loft, oh, you missed out. You missed out. I'm dating this guy who never went to Paradise Garage or the Loft, right? I used to see him. I took him to a house music party and forget it. He's in love with house music now. He'd be sending me music. I'm like, okay, Jason, I already know that song. Okay, I already know that. He's like, well, and I'll go to parties with him, and people come running over to say hello to me, and he'll be like, "What are you, like the mayor or something?" I'm like, "No, I just know these people from going to the clubs, and from being in the music scene. But yeah, the golden era. Oh my God, I wish it was back. I do. I'm being honest. I wish it was still here. I really do. Like I said, you can try to replicate these things, but it's not the same. You're not going to get, it's like when you take for example, when you take your first sip of whatever you like, okay? And you wait a week and then you take another sip of it and you're waiting for that same taste. You just don't get it. It just doesn't taste like the first time, right? So that's what those clubs were like for me. Like the first time, oh my God, they had me. They grabbed my heart. They grabbed my soul. They grabbed my spirit. I didn't know how to dance. Right? I went into the Loft. Let me tell you, the first day I went into the Loft, I had heels and I was dressed up like if I was going to the Copa. And I walked in, nobody told me. The people that invite me didn't tell me. And they were like laughing amongst each other. They didn't say anything to me. When I walked in and I saw the way people were dressed, I was like, oh no. It's like, what the heck? I took off the heels, threw them to the corner. And then they were like, come on, dance, Charlie. I was like, no, no. They were like, come on. I was like, no, I can't dance like that. Oh my God. I was watching the way people were moving their bodies. I was like, no way. It took me a couple of times to go so I could get more comfortable. And that's when I said, people said to me, the guys all said to me, listen, all you got to do is stand there, listen to the music, let it go into your body. Feel it in your body, feel it in your mind, and move. And sure enough, it worked like a charm. And I was dancing like there was no tomorrow. Yeah. Oh no, golden era. Oh gosh. Oh my God. I really do wish they were still around.
How would you describe the dancing at the Loft, and how did that differ from dancing in other places?
So when you went to places like the Copa, it was like formal. For me, it felt like formal dancing. Like people danced a certain way. You couldn't really go all out. Dancing at Loft, Paradise Garage, even the house music parties that you go to now, you get to just free yourself. You get, like I said, for me, it's like, I don't care what anybody thinks about how I'm dancing. I'm not here to compete. I'm not competing. In those places, it was more like competing. Like somebody would come out and dance the hustle, and then another couple would come out and try to, compete with the other person. And they'd be looking at each other and trying to flaunt themselves. I don't like that. I never liked that. I like that in the house community, you don't have to worry about nothing. You just move whatever way. Like I said, the guy I'm dating now, Jason, he came out dancing with me to the house music party. And he was afraid to dance too. And I said, Jason, nobody here cares. Nobody cares how you move. They don't care how you dance. All we care about is that you're having fun and that you're enjoying yourself and that you're just letting the music flow within you. And now, forget it, you can't even stop him. It's just free flowing. It's so different. And then I saw like at the Loft in Paradise Garage, I saw people like I saw, you remember how, I don't know, but when I was growing up, it was like white boys can't dance. Let me tell you something. They shut me down. They shut me up. I never say that ever again. When I went to the Loft and I saw those white boys dancing, I was like, oh my God, these guys could dance. Look at these guys. Are they like in dance school or something like that? And a lot of them were, but a lot of them were dancing. Oh my God. I couldn't stand near them to dance. I was like, oh my God, they could dance. They danced their butt off. Yeah. The dancing is phenomenal in these places. House music scene, there's nothing, you can't go to any other party, not even a house, like a regular house in somebody's house, you like to dance. People don't dance that way. They only do it if it's one of your house music friends from the house music community. Then you could dance that way, but not in a regular house party. No, you know, it's just it's a freeing of the spirit. For me, that's what it feels like. It's a freeing of the spirit. It's doing whatever your body feels, whatever you feel coming from the music. You just let the vibe flow and you just move around with it.
How do you feel about the term lofting?
Well, I don't know exactly why that came to be because I kind of feel like somebody just kind of used it, borrowed it. They borrowed the loft itself to recognize that dance movement that they do. And it's like, nah, I don't know. I don't really care for it that much. I don't care for that term. I don't. I really don't. I mean, maybe other people do, but I just don't.
Who are your three favorite DJs
Larry Levan, Dave Mancuso, and Louis Vega.
and why? Why those three?
Why those three? Because they were phenomenal. They were phenomenal. Listen, they played music like you never expected. Like whenever they played something, it was something you didn't expect. You were like, "Oh wow, what is this? Oh my God, what are they playing?" You wanted, I don't know about any, I wanted to know what they were playing. They played music that you never even heard of. And then what? They even produced their Louis Vega producing his own music and stuff with his wife. Hey, I've never seen like a couple like Louis and his wife playing like that. I've never seen that before, until they came around, you know. But I think that it's more like the expertise. No one has that flair of expertise that they have, you know? And and I don't know if they even went to school to learn how to DJ. Because a lot of these people go to school to learn how to DJ. This just came automatic for them. It was like self-taught. And they experimented and they got it the way they wanted it, and it blew up. It blew up. It blew up. But yeah, I love all three of those DJs. Those have always been my favorite.
Would the Paradise Garage work today?
Huh?
Would the Paradise Garage work today?
Would it work today if Larry Levan was revived? I know that sounds silly, but who else can match his vibe? And would it work? I don't know about the new generation. Like there's this whole new generation and it's like what I don't like in parties is when you're dancing and then they form this circle and they're all in that one little circle and there's no room for you to dance. That wouldn't work in Paradise Garage and it wouldn't work in the Loft. Not something like that. Because that's not how it was in those places. You didn't see that at Paradise Garage. Everybody had their own movement. Nobody disrespected anyone. Nobody was showboating, and it kind of feels that way, you know. I could be wrong. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good dancers out there. But you know what? Give us some room to dance. We came to dance. We didn't just come to watch you dancing. I want to dance. Give me some room. I
Yeah.
don't think it will work with that generation.
What happened to New York?
What do you mean by that?
New York used to be the mecca for nightlife and clubbing and getting our life, and um, things changed. What happened?
Well, I would say all the laws and restrictions that they put on the clubs, you know, people didn't want why did the law have to move? Because the affluent people didn't like it. They didn't want to see that crowd there. They felt we were making too much noise and stuff, so they didn't want it in their neighborhood. So everything was pushed from Manhattan to Brooklyn. Because everything is now basically, if you take a look at the music scene right now, everything is more in Brooklyn. It used to be in Manhattan. Everything is in Brooklyn now. So, it's like a lot of us got disenfranchised, I would say, with that whole movie stuff too. Because it's like it was so convenient to go right here. Now you got to go all the way over there, and then it's just like the spaces are not the way they used to be, and all these restrictions that the mayor put on the clubs in New York City have just changed everything. And then with everything happening with COVID, with 9/11, COVID, all of this other stuff has affected a lot of people, you know. Um, there's so much violence here now too. I don't care. You know what? The news reports say crime is down in the subway stations. No, it's not. There's still a lot of stuff going on in the subway. I don't even take the subway. Unless I necessarily have to, I will not ride the subway. Because you know what? You don't know who's going to get stupid on the train. Somebody's going to pull out a knife. Somebody's going to pull out a gun. Somebody's going to get crazy. Somebody's going to push you off the platform. I think because, all of the laws changing and then they closed down the mental institution and just let these people out into the street without, figuring out where we're going to put these people. They just threw them in the street. Now you have all these immigrants that are here too now. And you know what? While some of them are good, there's a lot of them that are not, you know. Look at the guys that attacked the police officers. It's like, hello, it's like when Mayor Bloomberg was here, and I hate to say this, but there was a way that the police officers, if you got stupid, they smacked you. Now they can't even do any of that. Now they are even afraid to do anything like that. And it's just gotten so chaotic and out of hand. And I know that that's why a lot of people want to get out. It's not the same anymore. It's not. You send your kid to school, you don't know if your kid is coming back because they either got shot at or they got stabbed in school. Like, come on, what gives? What's going on here? You know? And then people are just so frustrated, and then yeah, they're making more buildings for housing. But guess what? The housing is not for us. It's for those people with the money. It's for the people with the big bucks because those rents are so sky high that you're like, wait, what the heck? It's like my whole month's rent. My whole month's paycheck is going into rent. Why? So yeah, New York is changing so much and it's sad. It really is. I love when New York, like back in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, you know, everything was fine. Was there a lot of drug abuse? Yeah, there was. Were there people still getting, yes, but not so much as now. Kids are bold now. They're bold. You can't say anything to a kid now. Kid they want to run up to you in a little gang with their stupid little pocket knives, wanting to stab you, wanting to beat you up. They have no respect for people anymore. How many elderly people have they not knocked down? People even with these e-bikes. One of my friends was in a terrible accident last week. The guy was stalking her. He was stalking her and ran up right behind her and knocked her down because he was going to take her pocketbook. But she had it up front. So when she fell on top of it. So he couldn't get it. But she got really hurt. She's got internal injuries. It's like, come on, give me a break. She's afraid to go out now. I don't know what people's mindset is now, you know? And they want to blame 9/11 and the police and all of this stuff. Look at yourself. Why are you doing that? Look at yourself. Would you want somebody to do that to your family member? You know, when I go into the street, do I get frustrated sometimes? Yeah, but I don't say anything. I keep it to myself because I'd rather avoid than to get jammed up. When I get in my car, of course, they're crazy drivers and stuff. I have my windows rolled up and I'm saying, fuck, but they can't hear me. So, and then I'm like, oh God, please help, It's just changed so much. It's not the New York that I grew up in. It's not, you know, and it's really unfortunate. I would not want to, I would not want to have a newborn baby here in New York. Nope.
How did you balance having children and going to the club scene?
Well, my children, number one, I had babysitters, but I took my youngest one, I took her to the loft a couple of times. I took the oldest one to the loft too, but she was like more reserved. But the little one, forget it. She was like more into it. As a matter of fact, now when she would go to clubs, she would come over to me. I go to a place with her, and she would go, "Mom, come here. I want to introduce you to somebody." She would bring somebody that I knew. She would go, "This is my friend, Mama." I'm like, I know them, and they were like, "Oh, shoot, that's your mom. I know you, mom." It's funny. It is when we go places. When she go, because I take her with me sometimes to parties, and she'll go to places with me, and people like look at her like, that's your mom? Oh, we know your mom. Yeah.
What advice do you have for the next generation?
For the next generation, I would say that they need to be like more mindful and more respectful of each other and accept people for who they are and not criticize people, not judge them, and if you don't believe in the same things, it's okay. Allow people to be who they are. We don't all have to have the same beliefs, you know? We don't all have to aspire to do the same things, but we need to be respectful and mindful and human and loving and caring toward one another, you know? Like I said, I grew up in the house community and it's been so loving. It's a loving community, and like I said, we try like with the younger crowd, we try to like pull them in so that they can become not exactly like us, but somewhat like us. and be understanding and compassionate the same way we are. Because you know what? Life is short. Life is short. You don't know when your time is, when you're going to be called, you know? And nobody deserves to be disrespected no matter what. If you don't agree with somebody, hey, pull them to the side, try to talk to them smoothly and calmly. And if they don't get it, then walk away because it's not worth the fight. It's not worth the energy. It's not. I'm like that. You could be arguing with me and I'll say, okay, I understand. All right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I offended you. That wasn't my intention. And that's it. If you can accept my apology or not, that's on you. I did my part. I did my part. I said, I'm sorry, you know, but I'm not going to go head to head with you because it's not worth it at the end of the day. You know, we're all supposed to be loving and caring. God put us on this earth to teach each other and to love one another, not to bash one another, you know. Um, I hear all this nonsense about the gay community and everything. You know what? I grew up in a household where we had babysitters that were gay. We had babysitters that was transvestite. And my father told us, he said, you know what? When we told him, oh, Dad, he put mommy's shoes on and he put on her dress and he put on her makeup, but he's a guy. Why is he doing that? You know what my father said? That makes him happy. Whatever makes people happy is good. At least he didn't hurt you guys, right? He didn't say anything wrong to you guys, right? He didn't touch any of you, right? We said no. He said then it's okay. We may not agree with his lifestyle, but that's his lifestyle. And that's what makes him happy. So we need to respect each other's everybody's lifestyle and everybody's belief. And I think that the young people need to understand those things because a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't, and a lot of them are confused too. And you can't really blame them either because a lot of them are not growing up in a loving home. And I know, like I said, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And when I worked at the hospital, we saw all these kids coming in wanting to commit suicide. Why? Nobody listens to them. Nobody listens to them. That little kid that you see out there fighting, trying to be a gangster, he's not getting love at home. He's looking for love outside of his home. He's looking for somebody that will just listen to him and tell him that he's worthy and tell him that he's special. And we got to do that too. Even if it's not your child, somebody's kid and they're going the wrong way, sit down and talk to them. Sometimes that's all they need. Same thing for us. Sometimes all we need is somebody that's going to lend us an ear when we're going through stuff. Nobody knows where anybody's going through. You know, the drug use, I've worked with so many of them, alcoholics. I have 37 years clean time. Why? Somebody cared.
How did
Somebody
how
cared.
did you maintain staying clean?
So first, like I said, I stayed with Frankie for a while in his apartment. I went around, like I worked at the store with them, and then I got a job, and then somebody told me about Narcotics Anonymous meetings. And I went to my first meeting. I was like, God, these people are crazy. They're all lying. Ain't nobody in here clean. Ain't nobody doing that. But they said, you know what? Even if you don't understand, keep coming. Keep coming. Give yourself a break. Let us learn. Let us love you until you learn to love yourself. That's a big one. Let us love you until you learn to love yourself. I didn't understand any of that. And I was like, wow, I was so confused. But you know what? I kept going to these meetings and started realizing that, hey, I was the problem. That everything that happened to me, you know how I would want to blame you for something? I allowed you to do it. I have control of what I allow for people to do to me, right? And you know what? Just going to meetings and listening and doing step work, I was able to learn don't go to the old neighborhoods where you used to get high. And if you're not strong enough to go to that party where everybody's drinking, then don't go because you're going to set yourself up to fail. So, you know what? I didn't go to parties for a while. You know when I started going to parties? With Benny. With Benny. with Benny, we went to we went to parties together. We didn't go alone. We went in groups of people that were clean. So we would look out for each other, and like I said, I have what we call a higher power. My higher power's name is Jesus. And I know that he's brought me this far. And I know that it's only through the grace of Jesus that he put these angels in my path. He put Frankie, Albert, Benny, and all these other people that I know in my life. You, everybody that I have in my life, that was God's doing. And I consider you guys to be angels because when you least expect it, he does that. When you're going through something terrible, something drastic, God will send you an angel. You know, when you pray, when I pray, you know how he answers me? You might say something to me right now that I was asking him about, and all of a sudden you say, I'm like, oh shoot, there's the answer. And you didn't even know it. He used you to tell me what he wanted me to know. He saved me 37 years clean. And August 23rd, I will have 37 years clean. You know, did I imagine that I would have the life I have? That I would still remain in contact with people like yourself, had the love that Frankie and Albert gave me and all the other guys that worked with us at the music store and the people in the house community, I probably would have been dead, right? But I'm not. I'm alive. I'm well. I'm happy. I'm living. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. But yeah, that's how I was able to claim 37 years by doing what I needed to do through the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous, one day at a time, one day at a time, because recovery is not a race. And I was able to help other people that came to the program that I was overseeing, to hear the message of recovery, that there's life after addiction. There's life, and the music community helps me with that too. When I would get stressed out at work, I'd go to a house music party and just release. It helped me. It helps me a lot. I'm telling you, music helps me. When I'm cleaning, I'm listening to music, you know? In my car driving, I'm listening to music. I have music every time, at every given moment in my life, because it keeps me alive and it makes me happy, you know? I don't know what else to say, but
No, thank you for sharing. You know what? We'll leave it right there. Thank you
okay.
so much. It's great to reconnect after at least 10 years, if not longer. Thank you so much.
Love you.
Love you too.
Let's,
All right. Bye-bye.
okay. Bye-bye.